Hello there, and welcome to Mac Yak, episode number 100. It is a weird one tonight because there are fewer of us and we're on the wrong night. In case anyone hadn't noticed, it's the wrong night, and that's because of this thing called Thanksgiving that was on last night. Well, yeah, last night. It's daytime for me, but yeah. So here we are. How is everyone?
Full. Bruce, what's up with your audio?
Well, I don't know. What's up with my audio?
It's severely delayed on my
Hang
end.
on.
Not on this side.
Is anyone else having trouble with my audio?
Yeah, it's better.
Anyone? Oh, okay.
It's weird. Yeah.
That was a glitch in the matrix.
Maybe it's your good fortune with Bluetooth appliances.
See, I still use these things here. This cable. Okay, guys, what you been up to? How was your Thanksgiving?
Surprisingly good.
Everyone get
lots of food.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't partake in the whole turkey thing, so I made an excuse and said I'm not a big fan of turkey. I got myself this monster lasagna.
You know you can make lasagnas with turkey mince.
Blasphemy, man! Come on.
Yeah, it sounds awful, honestly.
Don't knock it till you try it. I tell you.
If you see Jay mute himself and then rise out of his chair like that.
That's how I spent last night.
Dear idea. Yes, it is. Those sorts of things are always funny to us. So I guess this is a sort of an interesting show because we don't have a whole lot of topics. So I guess we'll do what we can to drag it out as long as we can. But of course, people, please feel free to jump into the chat if they have anything that they want to talk about or want to mention. Please feel free to go ahead and do that.
Real quick, Angel, I didn't promise that he'd be on in this episode. I said he'd be coming up in a future episode soon.
Yes, yes, that's right. One of the things with Ken is the fact that he has a schedule, sort of unlike us, who can just go, "Hey, shall we move it to the next night?" And then we go, "Yeah, we will." He has a schedule to follow, and so we have to book him in well in advance.
Yep.
But yes, now the reason why there are only four of us is because it is on a different night. Not everyone can actually attend. So Steve's off wrangling Max. I'm not sure what GT is doing.
Steve's being Steve. Yeah,
and Mike's being held hostage by his cat.
Yep, pretty much.
So that's pretty much it. So unless you guys have anything you want to talk about that's like happened to you in the last week, you want to mention anything interesting? Anyone?
Yeah, well, it's I've been playing with scalars. Not as easy as it looks. I got a scalar because I'm planning to put some of my power PCs back in action soon for various things. And instead of pointing my camera at the monitor and getting a crappy image, I just wanted to do it properly with a scalar. So I got the scalar, I got the HDMI capture card, and it didn't work. So got a different capture card that's working, running into some limitations, turning a square image into a widescreen image and all that. So I might do a stream later tonight, just playing with OBS, because ever since we moved to StreamYard, I've been using StreamYard for all my own streams as well. So I haven't used OBS in a while. I'm going to see if it's possible to just kind of squish that widescreen image back into a square image, make it look good, and just experiment a little. Could be a 5-minute stream. Could be a 5-hour stream. Who knows?
I tried StreamYard yesterday on my live stream, and I don't know how I like it, honestly. But
it has
I had it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it has definite benefits for certain things. You know, when it comes to doing something like this, group chat and inviting guests on and stuff like that, I think it's unparalleled. I think it's absolutely fantastic for that.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't even use it for my streams. It's not flexible enough with some of the stuff that I need to do. So, yeah. I mean, OBS is definitely the good one, but there are certain limitations. Like, well, for starters, it's a pretty ugly sort of interface. But things like, I mean, what really did it for us when we were doing these group chats and we were linking in with Skype is that Skype is awful. And this is a much better way of actually getting lots of people on at the one time, all talking at the same time, that sort of thing. And then, of course, the other was we wanted to be able to do this whenever we wanted. And this is this software makes that incredibly easy to do. So
something else you can do real easy is this.
And shouldn't we also do a little bit of
smash that like button?
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
But anyway, I also had an interesting weekend last weekend. Went over and saw Crazy Ken. In fact, at 10 p.m. Eastern time, my latest video is premiering, where I'm behind the scenes there. Although the first 9 minutes is me trying not to die while getting up there. It was interesting.
Thanks for letting me know how much to skip.
Yeah, well, you
get to
can't
about 9 minutes
skip
and then you can
the premiere.
You can stop when there's still about 5 minutes left to go as well.
But I put timestamps in it, so in the future people can skip the almost dying part. But I almost died twice. Once going over there, and once coming back. So yeah, it was a fun time. But yeah, 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Eastern, we'll be premiering that, and Ken's supposed to be in the chat too, so that would be cool.
Well, it's premiering on his channel, isn't it?
No, it's on mine.
Oh, that was the Twitter thing I saw. That was his Twitter.
Yeah.
Social media confuses me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Justin's asked if I can do a live stream and teach my animation style. What's my animation style? What animation is being referred to?
Smash that like button thing.
Oh, that. Yeah. Yes. That didn't take me a long time. I just did that in Final Cut Pro 10. Well, shout out to Peter, who is here and has just recently launched his own YouTube channel. So I go and check that out and give
100 subs, I think.
Get him some subs, man.
He's doing good.
Yeah. Get on there and be a
we
part
need
of
to get him on MacYak before he gets to 1,000, because then he'll be, too big.
That's right.
He's gonna say no.
That's right. We'll say I first appeared on this show December 4th, 2 years ago, and I had just over 300 subscribers at the time. So this is how we do things here. Get people on before they get to 1,000.
Yep. Because if we was asked the link today, he would be like, "Who are you guys?"
Yeah, exactly.
I posted the link to Pitar's YouTube channel.
Excellent.
Places.
All right. Well, unless anyone has any other stuff to talk about, Dana, have you been doing stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Yesterday I ate stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
That's a start.
Today I ate
It's
some
doing
more stuff,
something.
and then I slept.
Are you in a better mood than last show?
Yeah.
You were a little angry bear last time.
Yeah.
He barely
live
said
next to-
2 words in the 1
I
hour.
live next to cavemen. I had brand new tires, and I ran over a glass bottle they left out in the street.
How did those tires end up?
Well, they couldn't fix it, so they had to replace it. But long story short, they gave me that tire and then charged me road hazard coverage on all 4, since they were still within a month of getting put on. So
Nice.
saved $25, so that was good.
That's
And
how
you're
we do here on
walking-
MacYak. You're in a bad
You're
mood,
prepared for
you
the next
just
one?
show up and you take it out on all of us.
I was in a good mood till I pulled into my driveway and heard.
Yes, no one wants to hear that, especially not in the bedroom. Now, we've got some news. We've got one bit of news. Who would like to take this, Jay? This seems like your sort of news.
I'll take it because, and this is not a sponsor or anything, but if you followed MacYak before, then you have undoubtedly heard us mention the Backblaze service. It's a cloud-based backup for your Mac or PC or Linux or server or whatever you want it to be. Of course, this being the days after Thanksgiving, they have deals. And the deal Backblaze currently has is 50% off, which makes it a freaking no-brainer. So I put a link in the chat. Use that, and you get a free extra month. And if you sign up and use BlazeOn21 code, you get 50% off. And there's really no excuse not to. Unless you already have Backblaze. That's a pretty good excuse not to. But otherwise, no excuse. It's worth every penny. So check it out.
I must confess I had a bit of an issue with Backblaze just recently. It was one that was relatively easy to resolve. But one day, just for no apparent reason, it just came up and told me that the data was out of sync. And it's something you would expect if you were to say move everything onto a new hard drive, start working with a new OS hard drive. But I had done none of that, and it just told me it was out of sync, and I quite literally had to, I think it was uninstall it and reinstall it, and then follow some sort of steps or something like that. And it just seemed a little bit clunky to me. It felt like it should just have some sort of resynchronized button that you can just press and then let it whir away in the background and sort things out. But it's obviously some sort of limitation in the way that the software works. But I basically have nothing but good things to say about Backblaze, but that was a real pain in the backside. So.
Yeah, I think Mike recently had an issue. Well, not an issue. Well, issue for him. His RAID failed, and I believe it's one of those RAID enclosures that fits 2 hard drives. It may or may not be OWC branded. I'll leave that here or there. But he had to recover the data that he uploaded to Backblaze. So you have several options. You can download the files. You can have a hard drive sent to you with the files. And I believe there's some other options. He could not do the download because the files were way too freaking massive. After 50 gigs, you have to get a hard drive. So it's $125 for, I believe, a 10 terabyte hard drive. They load up all your data, send it to you, and if you send the hard drive back within 30 days, you get the money back. So
seriously?
Yeah, it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, cool.
That is extraordinary. Yeah. That's actually really freaking impressive.
Yeah, right? I didn't know they did the whole refund thing.
Yeah.
But,
wow.
Yeah, if you back up to Time Machine, if you back up to Blu-ray, different external hard drives, consider Backblaze. Just having it off-site, it's good.
How long is that promo code good for?
The next 6 seconds.
I believe until Monday.
Nice.
Yep. 50% is quite a hefty discount, so they're not going to run it long.
I have been using Retrospect for backups. I replaced using Time Machine for my backups and have been using Retrospect now for a couple of months. I'm going to do a little piece on it on the show someday soon, just for people who are interested in backup. And while we're talking about it, it's way, way more configurable than Time Machine, so it allows you to do all sorts of things. The one area where I feel it lacks a little is in recycling of the backup. So if you reach a point where that backup gets full and you haven't configured it in such a way so that it sort of, it clears itself out, you have to start again. So I've taken a little while getting things figured out. I've basically just been trying to cram too much data onto a too small a hard drive, but it is. I will go over it later on because it is a good option for people who don't feel like they have all the configurable options of Time Machine, but it is not particularly intuitive in the way that it works. So I'll probably just go over that. In a
Retrospect has never been intuitive.
No, it has not.
You can call them a lot of things: reliable,
yes.
configurable.
That'll do.
But not intuitive.
No, that's right. It uses a system of creating like media sets and stuff like that, and it's partially got to do with the way it's software that's designed to span across multiple media. So you can start your backups on CDs, and then move to take backups at a later date, if you want to, for the same sort of backup, or hard drives or whatever you want to use. So it is very, very configurable. But anyhow, we'll cover that in another show.
All this talk about backups, and I just looked at my time machine, and apparently it's been turned off since June. So,
see, that is how you do not make backups.
Yeah.
I forgot that my power went out briefly yesterday, and that my backup drive didn't kick back on until I turned it back on 5 seconds ago.
Okay,
it is
just
actually
we talk about backups and all the ways to do it, all the different options you have, doesn't mean that people even on MacYak actually listen.
Exactly.
I think one really, really important part of any backup strategy you have is some sort of notification system if things aren't working properly. You don't want to find out that your backups haven't been working for the last 6 months when your hard drive fails. It's a lot better if you have something with some form of notification that can let you know that something's not working right, or that it hasn't been able to access the backup media, or something along those lines, so you can then action it immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, even though we consider each other friends and all that stuff, I really hope that Dana's Mac crashes right now, because there's no way like learning a lesson than the hard way.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Oh,
it's
he's
not
gone.
fun.
Yep.
He's crashed.
Crashed.
All right, so let's move on to some topics, shall we? Today we've only got a few of them, but I think we'll be able to milk these. So, Jay had an Apple customer experience, Apple customer service experience. He did. And he's now going to regale us with all the wonderful things that happened, or not wonderful.
Yes. So it turns out 2 years ago is when I got my Apple Watch. 2 years ago. It's crazy. Series 5 Apple Watch. 2 years old, or almost 2 years old. It used to sit in this case, and now it is gone. It is gone because it suddenly decided to stop working. I took it off the charger, and I only use it to track my sleep. I'm fascinated with sleep tracking and all that stuff, heart rates, all that crap. So that's what I use it for. During the day, it sits on the charger in front of me, and I don't use it. So took it off the charger. It was fine. Put it on my wrist, and it turned off. Couldn't turn it back on. Put it back on the charger, and it just started boot looping. Apple logo, Apple logo, Apple logo. Tried all the resets, nothing. Long story short, I started a what do you call it? One of those support chats with Apple, and cool story, but you're out of warranty, so that's going to be $389. And I'm like, F you, dude, we're not doing that. Oh, well, all it might need is a restore. We just reload the software on it, and you just pay us $389. You ship it to us, and we will restore the software for you. And I said, no, we're not doing that. If that is a thing that happens every 1 or 2 years, I'm not going to spend $400 every year to have the software reinstalled. So I bitched and moaned like one typically does to Apple support, and I got transferred to a supervisor. It's probably just the dude that was sitting next to him, but you never know. And he took care of me. I was very surprised. I made my case. I say, listen, I don't go water rafting, mountain biking, all kinds of crazy stuff. Even though it's waterproof, I never take it in the water. And, I made my case, and he said, you know what, I got you. Send it to us, no fees. We will try to reinstall it. But if it needs to be replaced, you will have to pay. I said, you know what, that's cool. Let's do it. Because if it can be fixed, send it back to me, and I'll just start rating iFixit for parts and give it a go myself. Sent it out, and then I got an email yesterday or day before, that said your replacement watch is on its way to you. And no fees, nothing. So I was pleasantly surprised. Come Monday, I believe. Let me check real quick. Yep, Monday I should have a brand new, probably refurbished Series 5 watch in my hand. So,
Nice.
we rag on Apple a lot, which I feel is justified. But when something positive happens, I feel we should point that out as well. And this was definitely a positive experience. So, just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I mean, I must confess that the one of the times that I had where I had to call on Apple, sort of customer service, I had an iPad, and I think it was still under warranty, but only just, I think, and the headphone socket didn't work anymore, and so I phoned them up and made a booking at the Apple store, and I turned up and got attended to by a lovely young lady, and she tested it out, tried it with headphones, found that it wasn't working. Sort of talked me through the steps, checked to make sure that it had all been backed up. And yes, of course it had before I took it there. Talked me through the steps of how to erase it before I handed it over to them. And then they just gave me a brand new one in return.
Nice.
And it was just as smooth as silk. It couldn't have gone any better. I was booked in. I didn't have to wait. They just, as soon as they had, sort of proved to themselves that the headphone socket was not working anymore, they just gave me a new one, no questions asked. So, yeah, I mean, as you say, we there are plenty of things that we don't like about Apple, and we talk about it all the time. But I think those sorts of experience do need to be mentioned. That it's not all horror stories going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I get another year or maybe 2 years out of this refurb watch, at that point, I can always open it up and put a iFixit battery in or see what's going on. But and the guy I was talking to, like most people now, who's just Apple Care, working from home, and he has to make small talk because he has to pass this on to a certain tier support and has to wait for approval to do what he wants to do. He can't just click a button and give me a free watch. So while we're waiting, which took all in all, the whole call was 55 minutes, just started shooting the breeze, and none of it is scripted. And very rarely, unlike when you call Comcast or AT&T, you deal with all the scripted stuff. This was just a conversation with another person that you could actually understand. Sorry. And it was a nice talk. I had to be there. Did I have other stuff to do? Yes. But if we have to go through the motions anyway, it might as well be a pleasant experience. And, he's just telling me about what it's like working from home for Apple. And, he could just roll out of bed, sit there in his pink fuzzy slippers and do his work. And the 50 minutes flew by, and he's like, oh, look, we got approval. I'm going to send you an email with your case number. If anything is up, I'm your point person. All communications will go through me, and I will be here to help you out until the case is closed. And just a good experience. So,
did you tell him how famous you are?
No.
Did you mention that you were a former genius?
No, you never mentioned that you're a former genius. You use the knowledge you have of how the internal systems work, but you never mentioned that you used to work for Apple. But yeah, it's and of course, Apple customer service has been one of the best rated for at least 15 some years. So it's not a surprise, but it's still a pleasant thing that should be mentioned. So definitely good.
From my former experience, it's like when I bought my first iPod Classic 7th Gen, I bought it used off of eBay with a click of death, okay? And I looked up the serial number before I even bought it because I was like, it's $85, And I'm like, it might still be under warranty. So I looked up the serial number, and it said I had 3 months left of warranty.
Yeah.
I just literally took it, walked it into the Apple store after, of course, making the appointment, and they replaced it right there. And they verified it had the click of death and stuff. And I got a brand new iPod for $85. And little tip: if you ever have a frayed lightning cable, they have a 1-year warranty on them. So you can just literally walk into an Apple store, say you bought an iPhone and it came with this cable, and it hasn't even been a year yet. They'll literally just hand you a new cable.
That's
So
pretty rare, though.
That's how it used to work.
That's how it used to work until we started out handing out 600 cables a day, and then we started asking, "What's that serial number that belongs to the phone of this cable?" Yeah, go away.
Well, either
It
way,
might work in
if
some
you,
stores, but
yeah. So they have a drawer dedicated to those. So it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Cool.
so.
Okay, so that's the. Anyone else got any Apple service experiences that they want to mention?
Ooh, no, but this is interesting. Cloth cables, like the braid.
Yeah, I actually hate mine.
Of course
Let
you
me show you mine. Mine is already gray, and I've only used it like 3 times.
Yes, and
You need to
does
wash your
that
hands.
account for the Great Dane that's chewing on it every day?
No, she hasn't even been near this cable. This is just from it being, so.
It's from Rudy's dirty hands.
I can't remember the last time I called Apple on the phone. It was probably the 90s.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, I ever since I left Apple, I have not set foot in another retail store. Kind of gives me hives. I hate retail, and I definitely hate retail Apple stores. So, like, yo, you can take it to a store, or you can send it. Yeah, I'll send it. I'll wait a week, no problem. So,
Quick shout out to a friend of mine, Noah. You may have seen his video. He's an Australian here, and he took I think it was a
Really?
Mac Classic into an Apple store. I think it was
Mac Classic.
I think it was a Classic, and he rocked up to an Apple store to see if they could help him with it. Although I think he was saying it didn't keep time anymore, and that video went kind of viral. So
I do remember that. That was a few months back, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, geez, it's longer than that now. I'd say it's probably more than a year. But yeah, I'll see if I can find the link during the show and post it in there. He got quite a few views from that one there. I bought a couple of computers from him. So, okay. So moving on to topic number 2. Yeah. I love it. Okay. Now this is another one that I think I'm going to let Jay lead because. What's his idea?
oh, come on. I didn't know it was going to work like that.
Yeah, that's how it works. When you come up with these things, we know you've already got something in your mind.
No, I'm just curious what people use to clean their Apple products, what the do's and don'ts are, either what you know from hearsay or figured out the hard way yourself. I'm curious. And I also want to know what people use to get scratches out of plastic. I tried a few products. Plastics or Plasti-X, however you pronounce it, didn't do anything, and that's the one people keep telling me about most. But I'll kick it off and say vinegar. Windex with vinegar cleans everything. This is what I use on 99.9% of everything.
Yep.
So,
Well, what I use is usually rubbing alcohol unless it's a clamshell because that will destroy the finish on them, or on an iMac G4 that will also destroy the finish on it. But I usually use rubbing alcohol and just wipe it down really good. I use Windex on the screens, and that's about it. Sometimes a magic eraser.
On those ones with that satin finish, I think just warm soapy water is probably best.
Yep, it's about the only thing you can do. Yep.
Worth mentioning with rubbing alcohol that they're usually about 60-something% alcohol, and the rest is I think probably some detergents or stuff to make it smell nice or stuff to make it taste disgusting, those sorts of things. I have a little toolkit here. I brung some bits.
Oh yeah, magic erasers. Those are good. Yeah.
Magic erasers are they're very abrasive. with the stuff that I'm cleaning, which most of the time it's beige stuff, they have those little micro textures molded into the plastic, and so you do have to be very careful with what you use or how hard
they
you
are
press and
abrasive.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because if you use things like the magic erasers, or if you use some really strong sort of solvents, or if you just rub too much, you can end up just kind of flattening that
Making it
micro
nice and
texture away.
smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, which would be fine if it started smooth, but you'll that one spot you've cleaned will then stick out like something. So I am also firmly in the Windex camp for cleaning screens and stuff like that. This is just your normal original Windex as opposed to the vinegar stuff. But I think this is great, and this is also good for you can use this for cleaning the outside of computers as well, as long as they're not too grimy. This Windex is not super good at cleaning that sort of stuff. Shout out to Joe's Computer Museum. Hello, Joe. Eucalyptus oil is very, very good. It is, and same with citrus. Some of those citrus oil products, they are quite good, but they can also be quite. Some of them can be incredibly strong. Again, you just have to be careful. If you're going to be cleaning something with an untested product, make sure you do it in an inconspicuous area. If you're cleaning things like old rubber feet on beige Macs, sometimes you can use certain products that just makes them go to squish, and then the next time you put them on the table, they're stuck to it. This is a product which I suspect it's probably just an Australian product, but it's what I use for most of the exterior cleaning of beige Macs. Now, it's a surface cleaner called Nifty, and I don't know if your surface cleaner makes such outrageous claims, but this one is hardworking. So hardworking. That's why I choose it. Exactly. Hardworking Nifty.
All I got is streak free. That's all I got.
The other. Go
on. I'll just finish up with the Nifty first, so I can put this freaking thing down. So this is just the same as any sort of like surface cleaner, like a kitchen surface cleaner, that sort of thing. I prefer this one because it smells like a cleaning product. It's not trying to smell like a pine forest or a bowl of lemons or something like that. It just smells like cleaning product. You put it on, it stinks a bit, then the smell goes away rather than lingering around smelling like something fake. This is just like a normal surface spray that I use, and that gets the majority of the gunk off computers without doing any damage to them. Greedy, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I forgot to mention, my dad was a photographer. He bought crates, it seems, of Carl Zeiss lens cleaner in a big blue, a clear bottle with a blue spray top on it. I use that to clean stuff too. It's actually quite impressive how well it cleans stuff, and I have a lot of it. So,
okay. Little shout out for 100% isopropyl alcohol. I always keep some of that on hand.
Oh boy!
This I use it for. This is really good if you're, for example, if someone has written on something with a marker. This will get that off nice and easily. That'll actually sort of dissolve it to get it off. So that's a good one to have. Now, this is one for the real problems. This is a product called Goof Off.
Yeah.
And this is basically just 100%. What's the stuff called?
Battery acid.
No, it's not. It's crap. What's it called? I knew the name before, but it's left my brain. It's the stuff. It's nail polish remover. That stuff.
Acetone.
Acetone. This is just 100% acetone. That's all it is, just acetone. Nice. So this will melt away things like adhesives and stuff like that. It will also melt away your skin. It will melt away the micro texture on a beige Mac. Yeah. So you have to be really careful where you apply this. So this is like for instance, I used this recently getting something off the surface of an old like MacBook Pro with the aluminium finish, and it was fine. It didn't do any damage to the aluminium whatsoever, but aluminum. But it got the sticky stuff off really well. I generally, if I use this stuff, I will then wash this off afterwards to make sure there's no remnants of it left behind.
Another good one is lighter fluid, naphtha.
Yep.
It's a good solvent.
Yeah, just don't use it on a G5 because it'll catch on fire.
Very true.
Are we going to televise that? Come on, can we see that, please?
I don't use G5. I do want to throw in real quick, not about the cleaner, but about the whatever you use to wipe it down.
Cloths.
Paper towels, bad. Microfiber, good. Now you can use paper towels on a lot of stuff, but it is, even though it doesn't seem like it, it is very capable of scratching plastic. So be careful with paper towels. And if you use microfibers, cut off the label because this label can scratch plastic and screens as well. So, pro tip.
Excellent. Yes, and I mean things like microfiber cloths can, very easy to get hold of, and they are really, really good. Another thing, which is it should be obvious, but if you are needing to do some hardcore cleaning around things like keyboards or LCDs or places where there are gaps in the computer, don't spray straight onto the computer. Spray onto the cloth and then wipe the cloth. I do sometimes not follow my own advice and do spray on, but I do it very, very carefully and very, precariously. And
that's a conversation I've been meaning to have with Dan.
Oh, okay, because he just sprays straight on.
I don't think it's so bad if
you can see it's running down the CRT into the plastic.
Yes, if you are going to do that, be there with
on the screen. Yeah, don't do
ready.
I spray and wipe at the same time.
Here's one that if you're any sort of a collector, you'll be familiar with. What do you do if you get a computer that has masking tape that has been baked on over many years?
Flamethrower.
And so when you peel off the tape, there's just like crunchy residue left. It's not even gooey anymore. It's like dry and hard.
I soak it usually in lighter fluid.
Yes, what I would typically do with that is I would get a paper towel, much against Jay's advice, and I would usually fold that paper towel up and I would put it on the masking tape and then douse it in the surface cleaner stuff, this type of stuff.
It's basically what I do with the lighter fluid.
So it just gets to sit on top of it and just soak right in and try and soften it up again and then get it off that way. Let it sit for an hour or something until it gets all nice and soft. And then
the three things that I use primarily are 99% alcohol, distilled white vinegar, and Formula 409, which is very similar to that nifty stuff you were holding.
In fact, I think it's probably the same thing. It looks like
probably is.
Yeah.
To Mr. H's point, cotton balls, Q-tips, but when you use Q-tips, you have good brands, you have bad brands. The stuff on the tip is the same for all of them. But how do you say that? How well the tip holds together varies widely by brand. And I have used in the past a Q-tip. You start polishing a little bit, and the stick will push through the Q-tip, and you start scratching the hell out of whatever you're cleaning. So be careful with Q-tips.
And ironically, that's not something that's dictated by price. Out here, one of the very well-known brands of Q-tips is a company called Swispers, and theirs fall apart all the time. I can't use them. I actually end up, I've got it. There's another brand that I've got, which is actually cheaper, and the ends of the Q-tips hold together way, way, way better. So, I would definitely agree with that one.
And of course, we all use compressed air or some kind of airflow to clean. Have you guys ever heard of don't use compressed air to clean your fan because it will feed voltage back into the board? Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah.
No.
Not until you mentioned it to me this morning.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yep.
I typically unplug them anyway, so it doesn't freaking matter.
I don't worry about it because even if it would happen, it's not going to really be enough voltage to damage anything.
How do you know?
I think the main difference here, and look, we've got some super smart people in the chat here, but I think one of the main differences we would see here is if we were talking about AC or DC. If you were using an AC type fan, spinning the fan can then have the same effect as a generator, that you can actually generate electricity from spinning around an AC fan. I believe that's the case with AC voltage. With DC voltage, I don't think it's the same. I don't think spinning the fan will then work as a generator in the other way. But I look to people like Joe and Peter and and other people in the chat to decide whether I'm talking nonsense or not.
I heard that claim a few years ago, and then I tested it. I took fans from every computer I had, all the way from the big 120 millimeter, from the G3, G4, some of the Mac Pro and MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, tested them all, put a multimeter on it, blew air in it, and absolutely nothing happened. Probably because that diode Joe was mentioning, but maybe it used to be that way, where fans didn't have that diode. I don't know. That's probably before my time, but I've never had it cause an issue.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. And obviously when it comes to air, you can buy cans of compressed air, which are handy for small amounts, but I've found them to be quite impractical for prolonged use.
Quickly.
Yeah, they wear out really quickly, and if you're using them a lot, they get really cold as the air's coming out, and then they clog up. So you sort of have to then wait for them to warm up again, because you get little ice particles forming around the nozzle, and so then the air stops coming out. So, but I have recently bought a little battery operated blower.
Thing is this big.
Yeah, it's kind of largish, but it's still smaller than my air compressor. I can still, I can bring it up here and blow the air out of the. You'll be very pleased. I blew the air out of the fans on this thing, so on the 3D printer. So it blew the all the dust out. So yeah, it's looking good.
I like the little compressed air because of that thin nozzle. You can really get to where you need to go. And also because I do most of my repairs at 2 a.m., I can't really use a compressor or something bigger.
Yeah,
the whole house will wake up.
Quite understand. So before we sort of wrap this one up, what about rust?
That one's a hard one. I usually try to scrape it off and then try to neutralize it somehow. Sometimes I'll try to seal it with paint or something. But
yeah, if you can, like I think what Dan did with that 6100 that he restored, is he basically sanded it down to the bare metal underneath, and then coated it with some Rust-Oleum.
Yeah.
And that will keep it from rusting further.
We have a product called Rust Guard.
Right. And it also depends on where it is and how much it is.
Yeah, rust. I go in pretty heavy because I don't want that stuff spreading, which it will if you leave it. Of course, it depends on the environment you keep it in. But yeah, I Dremel out what I can, or scrape if it's something small. Neutralize it, and usually apply some kind of coating to it. Either a clear coat if it's visible, or a random color I have in the garage if it's inside a case. But yeah.
And what about I hear about people with sort of rusty computers, rusty computer ends, and that soaking them in vinegar. What are people's thoughts on that?
Works really well.
Yeah, it works fine. You should probably neutralize it after you get it out. But yeah,
definitely. So I put the screws and nuts, bolts, screws, washers, all that stuff. I put it in a little jar. Put the vinegar in, then I add a scoop of baking soda, and 10-15 minutes, it's as good as new. It will have some pitting and staining, of course, but then distilled water after that, and usually good to go.
So vinegar is an acid, baking soda is an alkaline, so you're just kind of creating a fizz by adding those two together, I guess.
Yeah, it's the poor man's ultrasonic cleaner, which actually works a lot better than a real ultrasonic cleaner. I've never had my ultrasonic cleaner effectively clean rust off anything. Probably because I don't use the right solution. But.
There is a video, and again, I'll try and find this when we move on to another subject, and I'll put it in. There's this guy with a YouTube channel who has done a little bit of work on removing rust with an ultrasonic cleaner, and he found that the most effective liquid to use with it was drain cleaner. I think it was. It was like
I believe that.
Relatively inexpensive. I think it was just like a sort of a toilet bowl cleaner or something like that. And he names the brand and everything in the video. I don't think it's a brand that's available out here, but I'm sure I could get something equivalent. And he tried all sorts of things. I mean, he tried some really, really hardcore ones, but when he went through all of these different chemicals, this one was the one that he found to be the best in the ultrasonic. So, and it would probably work quite well even not in an ultrasonic, those sorts of chemicals. So, but obviously the most important thing with anything like that, if you are applying something that's really acidic, you've got to neutralize it afterwards. You've got to make sure all of that gets washed off and it gets really clean, and make sure you wash with distilled water. I actually have right here with me now a computer part that was clearly cleaned with tap water, and it's been allowed to dry, and now it's got that kind of residual corrosion on all the joints that you get from the stuff that's left behind from tap water. So just make sure when you are rinsing those sorts of things afterwards that you rinse them with distilled water. The stuff is dirt cheap. There's really no excuse not to use it. So,
I watch a lot of those restoration videos on YouTube where they'll take an old machine of some kind or an old toy, and it's got rust all over it. And most of them will use something called evaporust. And it's just like a big tub, and you dunk it in there for, a couple hours to overnight or whatever. And he pulls it out, and the rust just washes right off. Now, the first thing that he does is he cleans it with distilled water, and then wipes it all down with acetone to get all of the contaminants and any oils from his skin and things like that off of it. And then straight away, puts a primer coat on it.
I've never tried any other solution than what I use for my work in the cleaner, mostly because I'm too lazy to drain the tank, put a different solution in there, and all that. And I don't see rust often enough. I mean, people like Bruce and Steve probably deal with a lot more rust than I would ever see on these modern machines. But I think Bruce should do a video on it.
I have been working on it.
Apple's Anonymous brought up, neat, Bruce, brought up something about using salsa to clean up copper components. It's actually viable, sort of. Ketchup can remove corrosion.
Wait, isn't that what you're supposed to use, to get rid of
tarnishing and all that
smell
stuff,
or something like that?
I'd rather use it on my fries.
Well, but you can use it to clean up tarnishing and stuff. That's one way you can polish brass and stuff, is with ketchup. And it should work about the same with surface mount components that are really corroded and stuff.
The product that the guy, the video channel is called Steve's Small Engine Saloon. I have put a link into the video in there, and spoiler alert, the product that I think he found was the best on rust was a thing called Lysol. I think that was it for me.
Really?
That's the same guy that recommended put the rusty parts in a jar, fill that with gasoline, and let that float around in your ultrasonic.
And it didn't work out for you, did it?
It almost exploded.
It got that hot.
That's why I took it outside. Because I didn't really trust it, because
I would avoid the flammable stuff.
when you start ultrasonicking, the temperature goes up. So I took the ultrasonic outside, let it float.
If I can just point out that Steve's Small Engine Saloon's got 474,000 subscribers. How many's your channel got?
Well, how many of his subscribers are now injured, missing an eyeball?
That's a very good question. That's a good question. We'll have to ask.
Still alive is the question we need to ask.
So anyhow, look, watch the video, draw your own conclusions, whatever. I have never used anything like really corrosive in my ultrasonic cleaner, but
Or do like Steve does, just put it in there, and a week later, I had stuff in the cleaner. It'll be clean. Absolutely. After a week, it'll be clean.
Yes, I hope Steve doesn't watch this, but his ultrasonic cleaner doesn't seem to get things very clean anyway.
No comment.
Yeah,
I'm not getting in between that.
No, that's right. I'm probably in a different doo-doo
In
now.
fact, I was never here.
Oh dear. Okay, so have we done all the cleaning as far as we know? Is there anything else anyone wanted to mention about cleaning?
Oh, the aluminum trays on the Mac Pro. Those hard drive trays are, I don't know what they're made of. They're the metal equivalent of Velcro. You put a greasy
Yeah.
fingerprint on there, it's
there
never
forever.
coming off.
Yep.
Yep.
Never. I tried everything.
Oh, toothbrushes are handy too.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. Always keep a toothbrush on hand for sure.
But I think we can all agree with Justin.
Steve's
Thank
listening.
you.
Ah,
I'm
you're in trouble now,
sprung.
Bruce.
Exactly, Sonic.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. So, okay, so I think we can probably move on from the cleaning one
I think we can.
to another one. So let's have I'm just going to go here and go shebang-a-bang. Jay,
IO.
Nope. Someone else did it.
what's your favorite IO to date? Which one do you still use the most? Okay, so what does IO stand for? Anyone?
It's the moon of Jupiter.
Input, output.
Yeah,
Input,
input,
output.
yeah.
So, what would we qualify as an IO? Are we talking about things like SCSI and USB and FireWire and stuff like
Removable
that?
drives,
Any connector to a computer.
thumb drives.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Well,
I
Well,
don't think you
your
would count
favorite?
keyboard and mouse because they're all input. They're not output.
Well, sometimes they can do
Well,
output.
I don't know. The
Yeah.
caps lock light is technically an output. An output light.
Yes, you're right. Mhm.
But I don't really use it daily anymore. But honestly, even though it was kind of a horrible connector when you think about it, and really bulky and very proprietary, ADC was actually an excellent I/O. It had USB built in. It had power built in.
Mhm.
It had video built in.
Video.
You know,
Yeah, I
it
would
even
agree
had
with that.
analog video built into it.
So, why didn't it take off?
Because it was only on Macs and it
Yeah.
was extremely expensive.
Yep.
That's
No,
the only
big-
reason.
Big honking cable, big honking connector.
Yep.
I really
And if
feel
you-
like. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you didn't have it, the converter was massive.
Well, Patrick brings up a good one. Thunderbolt. It's going to be universal in the future, I think.
Mm.
And you can plug anything into it. If they make an adapter for it, it will work. And it's, and Thunderbolt 4 is USB-C 4. So if they make an adapter for USB-C 4, technically it's a Thunderbolt 4 connector, right? So, yeah. Thunderbolt in today's world is probably going to be, it's going to go down in history as one of the best IOs.
On paper,
'cause-
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't have any near me at the moment. Yes, I do. Never mind.
Thunderbolt is unfortunately very expensive compared to like USB-C.
I wish
Yeah,
they would
but
have kept this form factor. Because this
mini
already
display
sucks.
port.
The actual FireWire port or the Thunderbolt port, the first few
Yeah, it's
generations.
mini display port though. That's the problem
You know
they
what I
had
mean?
with
This
it.
form factor.
Yeah.
This will
But
break
it-
your port within a year with casual use. It will just completely wear out your port and destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is sturdier than USB-C, which will
Yeah, it's
probably
true.
break your port in a week or two with casual use. So if they could settle on a plug that isn't like lightning cable thin, it could last and it wouldn't break your expensive computer or your expensive devices or your expensive dongles.
Yeah.
But I don't like the USB-C plug they currently have it on. If it wasn't for the connector, Thunderbolt was amazing. I like it.
Well, the confusing thing about Thunderbolt 3 was it doubled as USB 3, but USB 3 didn't double as Thunderbolt 3.
Yeah.
But it was the same connector. Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4 are supposedly the same thing. So as long as it's a 4, it will work interchangeably. and it's still extremely confusing.
Yeah.
So all right. What makes a good IO?
Well, in capability or in connect, as the connector goes.
What makes it become your favorite, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. What are the qualities you're looking for in an IO for it to become your favorite?
Everything that
fast.
is FireWire 800.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's fast, it's robust, it has a decent plug that doesn't break.
Hey, Steve.
It's affordable. Firewire.
Yeah.
Bruce is in
Oh, look, you
trouble.
screwed up the thumbnails.
He said it, not me. Him. There.
Yeah, it was me. My fault. I just a little throwaway comment. I said I don't feel like Steve's ultrasonic cleaner gets things very clean anyway.
Yeah,
And
That's
it did
I
not
joined
get missed.
10 seconds before that.
it's been gnawing at him.
But
He sat on the couch and his ears started glowing red. He's like, oh, crap.
What?
But like for instance, USB A, it's been around since 1996,
Yeah,
and
just don't try
it's
copying the
basically
files over it.
universal.
Yeah, I like USB, the old USB A. I've never had an issue where some idiots say, "Oh, I keep plugging it in upside down." No, if you have a Mac, it's always right side up. If you have a PC, it's always upside down.
Unless the port's on its side, then you're
Yeah.
screwed.
But yeah, USB is great, very versatile, of course. But it's not my favorite. My favorite is FireWire, 400 or 800, doesn't matter.
FireWires. Yeah.
I still go on eBay
Yeah.
and I will buy whatever enclosures I can find that have FireWire on it for hard drives, optical drives, all that stuff. I even went out and got a little 8-port
There you go.
FireWire repeater because all the
Nice.
ports on my Mac Pro were full, and I will continue using FireWire for the foreseeable future. I know that USB 3 is faster and Thunderbolt is even faster than that, but I prefer the reliability over the speed, to be honest. Especially when you go back to the PowerPC days.
Well,
You know,
when you bring up
USB
FireWire,
Huh?
who helped co-develop it?
Me.
Me.
Apple.
Apple. It was an Apple thing long before it was ever on a PC.
They came up with a much better name than IEEE 94.
Yeah, 1394. The stupid
Exactly.
standard name.
What about you, Steve?
I think IRDA is no. Let's not go into that. No, FireWire is one of my favorites. The enclosures and stuff are always a bit more expensive, unfortunately. So, I don't have too many FireWire enclosures that weren't like the dirt cheap ones that have all fallen apart. I just have like the PCB now that's left over. But I love, the 800 to 400 adapters and all that stuff. I have capture boxes that are FireWire. And I picked this up fairly recently. This is a SCSI to FireWire adapter. And these stupid things go for hundreds of dollars. And somebody was just happening to sell a scanner with this as the bonus. Although I already had the scanner, I bought the darn thing just for this adapter. You have an Ultra SCSI connector there.
Cool.
And you have two FireWire ports there.
You're going to give that to Kai and get him to reverse engineer it?
I don't want to breathe on this thing too hard and have it not work because I cannot afford another one. And until all my scanning is done, this is what I've been using with ViewScan because, SCSI is SCSI. And, you breathe wrong on a SCSI cable and the Mac freezes. But I'd say FireWire and Ethernet are two of my favorite IOs because those are the things I use most often, gigabit networking and just transferring stuff around and FireWire. I mean, yeah, USB 3 is fine, but I don't know. There was something about FireWire I really liked, and I think we all hit the nail on the head with our previous
When I
discussion about
discovered
it.
last year that they made FireWire zip drives, I think I mentioned it on our group chat.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! I had no idea. I got like 4 of them now for no good reason. Like, that's so cool.
I think if
ADB was good back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
You could have
not
about
hot swappable.
No, but you could have 128 different devices on an ADB chain.
Mm.
Has someone done a video on that?
Even I don't think
128
I have.
devices.
I don't even think I have 127 80p devices, and that's saying something.
rows and rows of dongles. Yeah, I mean, I think as someone who was sort of working when we went from the transition from SCSI to USB, I think, had a huge impact. I mean, although the very first USB 1 may not have been super quick, there was something absolutely awesome about sort of just being able to just get a hard drive or a CD-ROM or whatever and just plug it in and away you went. It was just so easy. And then, of course, being able to rig up a hub so you could have more of them if you didn't have enough ports, that sort of stuff. I think, USB was a really amazing step up from where we were. Now, we can obviously look at it now and look at where it has gone and how they keep getting better and faster and all that sort of stuff. I still, to this day, sort of contend that a plug that can go in either way is a very big convenience for any sort of I/O. And so I do like the Lightning adapter for that, and I do like USB-C adapters for that, and MagSafe connectors for that matter. I've always been a fan of them designing things so that they could go in either way. It's just an added convenience.
If you shove this in without the metal bent a little bit, you can get it in either way. It should be fine. I'm sure that's all electrically the same, right?
The micro USB is a classic example of that, because the mini USB has this very sort of defined shape. You really couldn't go in the wrong way. With the micro USB, with enough force, you will get that in the wrong way. And it's got two little sticky uppy things. I think that's a mini USB. That one, isn't it? Yeah.
I always confuse them. I don't know.
Yeah, and the micro USB has these two little sticky uppy bits, and if you go in it around the wrong way, and you do manage to get it in there, which you usually can, you'll usually destroy the port in the process.
Oh yeah,
I think that's a pretty lousy piece of design. I
think that's the most freaking port I've ever had to do work with, soldering wise at a micro level is USB.
And the wires wear out so quick.
See, I haven't had the wires so much as I've had the ports. So,
now, question: as someone who is completely unfamiliar with SCSI, the thing I didn't like about USB, I mean, at first I loved it. You had your mouse, your keyboard, your printer, your scanner. Very low impact devices, but when then the storage came out to a point where I could afford it, it became a problem on my G3 and G4. That's when I learned that all USB traffic flows through the CPU. So the slower your CPU, the more chances of crashing,
unlike
data
FireWire
interruptions and all that stuff. So how is SCSI with that? Was it also funneled through the CPU, or like FireWire, had its own controller, its own bus?
Yeah.
SCSI has its own controller.
And you could actually purchase PCI cards with a secondary controller on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that was actually one of the reasons why SCSI was faster than what was available at the time, was because it had its own controllers. So,
yeah, and
it was considered pretty good at the time. It's laughable now, but at the time, SCSI was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and all the arguments back in the day, I remember vividly, because Apple was so slow to put USB 2 on most of their products. You had USB 1 up until like the first generation of the 12-inch PowerBook, which is 2003 or something like that. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But, FireWire was faster, even if it was only 400 megabits per second. USB's maximum theoretical was 480. The CPU cycles that were eaten up during the transfer speeds, every magazine that did a shootout, FireWire was always the winner when you were talking about raw, unaltered transfer speeds of like 10 gigs from a FireWire drive to this, because you'd have to have the fastest machine in the world to spit that out and, get the USB data from one place to the other.
I still use my Blu-ray burner over FireWire 800. Yes, I got cores to spare, but I'm not going to risk it. In case some app throws a weird instruction down the pipe, it's not going to mess up a 50 gig disk. It's like an hour-long burn. So I just, for storage, external hard drives and everything, I still use FireWire. Yeah, it's slower, but I trust it.
And of course, how awesome is target disk mode? That when I mean, it's just has always been one of the most
Yeah,
amazingly awesome things.
How many times you go to repair someone's machine and that cable and that holding down the T button just saves your ass?
Yeah, absolutely. Just turn the computer into an external drive and you're away. It's just
which
such a
originated
brilliant
with SCSI. That was SCSI dock mode or disk mode or whatever it was called. That was,
And
it's just so funny how things come with that.
The T2 chip was the demise of target disk mode, wasn't it? Because they had it on Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt can do target disk mode as well, up to a point.
I think you can. You can't with the new M1 Max, but I think you could until the very last Intel Mac.
Yeah, because you could do. They just called it target disk mode, but it was Thunderbolt. It wasn't FireWire anymore.
Yeah.
I have one machine with Thunderbolt on it, so I never played around with it.
Yeah,
It's
I've
my wife's
actually
machine.
I've transferred files from Thunderbolt through FireWire onto another Mac with target disk mode. It worked fine.
Well, Joe is going to do a video on that.
Well, what I found always interesting about FireWire is you could network it too. So if you had like two Tiger machines, you just spit a FireWire cable from one port to the other. You didn't need Ethernet if you didn't have it. Or
Internet
whatever.
sharing, yeah, that's cool.
Did that all the time.
I never had too much good luck with it though. I got it to work, but never like solid connection. But definitely nice.
Well, the reason why is because FireWire is sort of a network protocol in the first place. It communicates between two devices peer to peer, more or less. That's how FireWire works.
And the biggest attraction for me for FireWire, whether it's 400 or 800, is the power it can deliver.
Yeah.
I mean, you can bus power pretty much anything off a Thunderbolt, which is, I think, 35 volts total. And compare that to, you put one of those 10 terabyte hard drives on a USB bus and try to power it, no.
Yeah, you need those Y adapters with two USBs and ridiculous.
So definitely nice.
Okay, so have we done this one?
Well, have you answered?
I think pretty much what I was just talking about, for me, the one that's had the biggest impact, maybe not necessarily my favorite, but the one that's had the biggest impact will be the transition to USB, just to originally USB 1. In terms of my favorite, it's a stupid thing to ask because I get nostalgia mixed in with it. Not necessarily whether it's, if we're getting nostalgia mixed in there, then I love getting a SCSI chain working well, getting a whole bunch of devices together and then, just getting the magic right,
but
right
how
cables
many,
and the
how
right
many poor
order.
people do you have to sacrifice to get that working, Bruce?
Yeah, hours.
Yeah, and then just get look, it works, and I can see every device. That's amazing. So
you sneeze and it freezes.
It usually
definitely get a
work
little bit
until
nostalgia
you
there.
promised your firstborn.
Yes.
By the way, slightly off topic. How does SCSI stack up against USB 1.0? SCSI
It's faster.
right?
Yeah.
It's
It is
faster.
faster, yeah.
What about USB 2?
No, slower.
I think it's slower, yeah.
Depending on the flavor of SCSI. When you get to like the real high-end SCSI that was like produced
Like
around the same time SATA was,
80-pin.
you're not gonna. It totally depends on the device, the throughput, the chip on the card controller. If you're dealing with just like your standard old 25-pin external zip drive, the USB 2 is going to beat it.
Okay.
What I do think that was very sort of a game changer with adopting these newer IOs, whether it be USB or FireWire, you no longer had to as much worry about, is this Mac compatible? Is this PC compatible? Because the hardware was there. Then you only had to worry about the manufacturer making drivers or somebody very smart making drivers and saying, okay, well, this USB parallel port adapter, that'll work on a Mac. Or this USB, to compact flash adapter will work on a Mac. All you needed was the software side of it. Whereas for years with the beige machines, this serial port doesn't fit. You need an adapter for that. The adapter doesn't do anything because it's not smart enough or whatever. Come USB, come FireWire, that all went out the window. And I think the Mac's greater success in the professional era of those machines, was just paramounted by that. If you didn't have a universal, standard like that, I think it would have been more segmented of, how do we get these fast IO drives between one machine and another? Because you have an editing system that uses this and whatever, because things weren't all networked. I mean, today everything's networked. But
Two things. Someone I know I can't recall who it is, did a video about the introduction of the iMac and what it meant for USB and blah blah blah. All
Some
this stuff.
guy.
Some guy that makes really long videos.
Yeah.
If he or she is watching, please put a link in the chat. And also, I remember when USB came out, my first Mac was a G3 blue and white, USB built in. The iMacs before that, USB built in. And when I went to school, you had these PCs, these lab PCs that you would share with thousands of other students, and everybody would mess it up all the time. And you would have this, you would plug in a zip drive or a flash drive or something USB, and Windows would freak out because there was no driver for it. And that's when I kind of got familiar with computing in general. Like, why would you need a driver for stuff? Because I knew nothing about PC because I started off with Mac. And that's when I was sure that I would never own a PC. But that was funny because you had this stuff built into the operating system on your Mac. And Windows could often get confused and say, I don't know what that port in my body is. Can you tell me?
The very last version of Windows 95 and all of Windows 98 had USB support, but you needed drivers. Although they did make a patch for 98 that added some USB drivers, you couldn't even plug in a hard drive without a driver.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, the worst, most frustrating experience I've ever had with Windows is you plug in a USB device and under Device Manager says, this is a USB composite device. We have no idea what the hell it is, but it's plugged in. And you're like, okay, now what do I do? No help there.
Yeah.
Just a very quick thing I just wanted to mention. When I was a young fellow, I used to play around with a Super 8 camera, and I used to film stuff and edit things and stuff, old-fashioned way. Lost a bit of interest in that. Then in around about 2000, a friend of mine got a mini DV camera and filmed. We went on a holiday, a big group of us, and he filmed it. And then when he came back, I borrowed the camera and the tape and everything, and of course it had a little Firewire plug in it. And I remember at the time just getting this Panasonic camera, plugging it into, sort of into Firewire to the computer, loading up iMovie, and bang, just recognizing it, downloading the video footage, editing together a fun little video of that, and it completely and totally reignited my interest in video. And ended up getting Final Cut Pro and and all that sort of stuff, and got my own camera, and gradually over the years better cameras and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like sort of the Firewire and its compatibility with this this sort of Panasonic camera was one of the things that really made a big difference in sort of getting interested in video editing again.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example because you take the whole sales pitch of the iMac DV or the iMac G4, had Firewire built in, you get a camcorder, you don't have to be a pro, you don't have to understand how this stuff works. You play around, you take your home videos, you just pop in the cable, and you're not worrying about the technical aspect. Now it's the creative aspect of, wow, look at all I could do. What do I want to do with this? And that's the exciting part. So many people when I was in high school or whatever and was messing around with computer classes and AV stuff, and I remember bringing in a CD. It wasn't even a DVD. It was a CD of a QuickTime movie, and it was just a simple little project for school. But I kept getting asked, like, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, iMovie. Don't your PCs have something like iMovie? No, Windows Movie Maker does this, but that's only has one title. It's like, I'm living the high life then,
I stole the show when friends went on vacation, and this must have been 2004, 3 or 4, I don't know. It's like, oh, I got this new camera. Look how flashy. And I made a whole bunch of video. I got all these DV tapes full of stuff. And a few weeks went by. I said, hey, did you do anything? Can I see? Because you didn't have YouTube or, Photo Stream or whatever. You wanted to see it. You needed the DVD or the CD. And no, I can't figure it out. It comes with this cable that my computer doesn't have. And it turned out to be a Sony DV camera with Firewire or IEE bunch of numbers. and he didn't have a port on his computer for it. So, okay, bring the camera, bring the tapes. We'll make a night out of it. He had a big bottle of Bacardi, G3 blue and white, because I used that thing for the longest time. And you just connect it, open iMovie, had a little toggle, import footage, and iMovie did everything for you. And his jaw just dropped to my desk, and I was the man. And I didn't do anything. I just plugged it in. But for a Windows user at the time, it was just, and then iDVD blew his mind. And I don't know if Windows ever had anything comparable, but it was that kind of stuff really sold me on the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, I think the software aspect was a lot of where the competitors were losing sleep over, because they didn't have a tight integration like that. Now you could buy Roxio or Adaptec or Neo or all this, crap. You didn't have anything bundled in that was actually worthwhile until a long time.
A few years after when Vista came out, Windows DVD Maker was out, and it was similar to iMovie. That's what I used to make DVDs, but iMovie had a lot more themes, and it was, once you got the hang of DVD Maker, it was easy, but it wasn't as easy as using iDVD.
And there's that whole Vista thing as well.
Plays a
Well, they had it in Vista and 7.
I tell you,
I have a copy of 7 is when I want to make a DVD.
I had to use Vista because that's all my logic motherboard supported on the PC, and the graphics drivers and all that crap. I just used it for games, and it was okay, but it was very, very quirky because it was brand new. But I don't miss it.
All right, well, I think we've done this one. So, Dana, can you transition us into the next stage with the traditional "all right, guys," please?
All right, guys.
Oh, you have to be louder than that.
You got to really lean into the
like
microphone.
an eagle
Right,
screeching. Yeah. Get everyone's attention.
It looks like we've got a... Yeah, here we go. It looks like we've got a couple of Eep Quacks here. By the looks of things. So let's see if we have some Eep Quack. There we go. Now I feel like Dana's been very quiet, so you can read the first one.
From Retro Tiki, have you ever had to sell some or all of your collection to cover bills or big expenses? Quack.
Whack.
Quack. By the time I go to sell something, it's not worth anything.
Like, should I have
quack.
and could I have Eep? Did I? Quack.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Yeah.
I remember picking MacBooks, like the plastic white MacBooks, up only a year or two after they came out. Just parts machines. I could have sold just the parts for a few $100s. And I was like, no, I'll make something out of it. It's still sitting in the basement.
Well, I've sold stuff to make space. I've sold stuff, that I might have regretted later on, but I've sold stuff because I needed to get rid of it. But the motivator hasn't been financial. It hasn't been about, trying to raise funds. It's been about clearing out space. But yeah.
The last time I sold anything was to actually one of our viewers from Kentucky, and he came up. I had a bunch of old Intel iMacs. They all had something wrong with them.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
I didn't care. So I sold them for like $25 each, and he come up and got them.
Didn't you have a stack of Mac Pros as well?
Yeah, I still have. I gave you one of them. I have one other from work, and 2 others from a church that I bought. They had like 5 of them they were getting rid of.
You bought a church?
I bought them from a church.
Oh, okay.
This church had 5 2006 Mac Pros. And I was like, holy, like they must have spent a pretty penny, 20 years ago or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
15 years ago.
Yeah, well, Adam has a point. I sell stuff as well, but it's not. My collection is sacred. Once it enters my collection and it's called by me part of my collection, it does not leave ever.
Yeah.
So, but
I will
stuff
buy things for my
beige
collection.
Mac or parts. I will happily sell off.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get emails all the time for people wanting to repair things. Oh, you have the spare part? I'm like, yeah, I do, and I'm keeping it because you don't know how much I paid for that damn thing.
Well, that's I get asked all the time. Do you have a spare 9-inch CRT for a compact Mac? And of course, my answer has always been yes, I do, but it's mine. I mean, I have a whole stack of compact Macs, and I really want to have a spare for when I invariably break a CRT.
Like you did not too long ago.
Like I did the other day.
So in 2020, I bought a second 2FX from somebody up in Cleveland. They found it in their warehouse. They had no idea what it was. They put it up for $50. And I said, I'll come and get it. And no, this was not 2020. I was still on treatment at the time. And I remember I drove up there with the freaking bag attached to me. But anyway, that's how bad I wanted it. And I was like, because I looked on eBay and it said you could sell. There was a guy selling a complete 2FX system with a screen and a monitor and a keyboard and I think maybe an old printer or something. And he sold it for $1,300. And I thought, and it wasn't even maxed out. Like it had a decent amount of RAM and a nice hard drive, but that was about it. And I thought, well, shoot, I can turn that and make some money. And I still have it.
I knew it was going to end that way.
You made the right decision. I mean, I got hold of from work a long time ago, just many years ago, I got hold of 8 sort of combination G3, G4 towers. So they were around about the sort of sawtooth type era, and obviously a G3 blue and white. I had 8 of those. And I gave them all away. I sold them for dirt cheap. It was good as giving them away, really. And I wish I'd kept a couple, just a couple. They all had zip drives in them as well, with the bezels.
I still have a little box somewhere, about 2008, 2007, something like that. I was at a computer festival, and this guy had a box of just brand new bezels with the plastic on them in the little baggies. And I'm like, how much you want for him? He just gave me the whole, because he knew I was a Mac guy. He's like, here, just to give me like $5. And they're, blue ones, graphite ones. I still have a few of them, but they're like scattered. The Quicksilver ones, I sold. I wish I hung on to them. I had a few zip bezel Quicksilvers and the blank Quicksilver ones, and I put them on the Mac Reviewers Marketplace. God, back in 2000, whatever it was. And they sold instantly. It was like $20 here, $20 there. It's like for a piece of plastic, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, they're going for crazy money these days.
Same thing with those little antennas, the little Wi-Fi antennas for the G5. You used to stick them on the back. The Bluetooth.
Yeah, I remember the little T things. You see them appear on Facebook all the time. People going, "I've just found this. What is it?"
I think I have one around here somewhere where it's just like I hang on to it, even though I didn't have the tower. I'm like, one day I'll need it.
Right, we've got another Eat Quack here. So, Steve, did you want to read that one?
Oh, yeah, sure. I see why. What's the most you've ever paid for a non-daily driver Mac to add to your collection? And where did your wife or significant other force you to sleep when they found out? That's more of an explanation, than an Eep Quack. But I see what you're trying to do there, Retro Techie. I don't know. That's a tough one because by principle, I do not spend a lot for these machines because you don't know what condition they're going to be in, if they're going to last long, how much work you're going to have to put into it, etc. So if I spend over $100 on something, that's a lot in my eyes because my mind's still stuck in the early 2000s when this stuff was dirt cheap. So I think it's more of how big of a thing did you bring home and get yelled at for? Yes,
that's the problem. It's like, how do you hide a Quadra 950? It's like, or a 21-inch Rastrock CRT or something like that.
Very carefully. Honey, you want to go out for dinner? Hold on, let me move this thing from the trunk. Yeah.
Can you just turn your back for half an hour?
I got you a present. You just have to turn around for 35 minutes. That's all.
I think maybe $100 for an MDD a couple of years ago. That's all I could think of. And as with everything else, I smuggle it inside the house when my wife is not home or asleep. So wasn't the problem.
Well, being in Australia, of course, we don't have the same level of bargains around here. And I guess probably the most I've spent would be, I don't know, 500, 600, something like that for something. But they've been for ones that I've really wanted. I really want this one in my collection, and one comes up and it's usually cheaper than they normally go for, and then I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll grab it.
10, 15, 20 years ago, the prices were nowhere near as high as they are right now. I mean, you could go I went to my buddy's high school after the end of a school year one year, and they were upgrading their computer labs. I got an Image Writer 2, I got a Mac Classic, I got an LC2, and one other, I think maybe an LC, and I paid like $5 or $10 a piece for them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because they didn't care. They were just like, hey, we're going to throw them in the dumpster anyway, and we could, sell this stuff and put the money into the general fund or whatever. But
that's the best freaking things that you could ever run into. Like it's either an e-waste person who understands, look, I'm not going to get rich over this, or somebody who's just, they don't want it and they want to go to a good home. Yeah. I've gotten so much cool stuff from people just being like, oh yeah, I have this too. Do you want it? And I'm like, yeah. And they're just like, here, you're gonna, it's out of my hair. I don't have to freaking touch it. I don't have to lift it. It's out of my house. You enjoy it.
Problem is these days the cat's out of the bag, and these e-waste recyclers look at eBay and they go, oh well, I could sell that for $100.
There's a local e-waste guy that and I've bit the bullet a few times and got something, but it's like, he looks at eBay prices and he goes, I could sell this on eBay all day. All right, then why have you been sitting on that machine for 6 months? If you can sell it on eBay all day, then why you still have it? I mean, level with me here.
The e-waste facility down the road started doing the same. Like, this is a white iMac. They go for $500 on eBay. So, now pull up the sold listings.
Yeah, and
where do they refine the specs? Oh, $20. Gotcha.
Need to have a quick shout out to Apple's Anonymous, who's in the chat. I just want to make sure he's listening to what a bunch of phenomenal tight-asses we are. Because I'm in the process of going to be negotiating with him to get a few computers from him in the future. We've been trading emails, and the list of things that I may be getting from him is getting gradually larger.
You're going to drive up with a truck, Bruce?
Large.
So,
the most I think I've ever spent on a vintage Mac is about $550 maybe, and that was for my Gemini book because it was complete.
I thought if anybody had spent more than me.
It's a Gemini book. Huh?
I thought if anybody had spent more than me on something, it would have been you, but no.
Yeah.
The only time I spent that amount of money was at an e-waste place, and I had literally a car full of crap. So, and that was like, 2 cubes? So that was worth it alone.
Or when you just keep typing the same number over and over on eBay listings, right?
No, that's... You don't talk about that.
It never happened. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
We now call him Steve 888.
Hey, if that's a lottery number, I should have played that.
I'm sure
accepted.
Each time I talk to him, he says, "Oh, you mentioned on the show that you were after this. I've got one of those. Do you want one?"
Turns
out
I
heard you're after this as well.
Just another alias for Mr. Polka Dots.
Well, he is in Australia, so we know he's not Mr. Polka Dots. So.
Thank goodness. Yeah, see, places that sell things by the pound, that's pretty good. Unless it's EMAC, then it's not worth it. But yeah, I had someone try and sell me an EMAC for $100 or something like that. And I got the iMac G4 for like $60 from the same person. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, the prices should be the other way around. Not that I'm telling him this, but I'm like, something's off here. And the machine had screen issues. I mean, I ended up getting it just dirt cheap because he wanted to give it away. But it was like, I think you misunderestimate the problem of getting rid of these machines.
I do actually, I do feel sorry sometimes for people who have an eMac and maybe don't know what's going on with the, collectability of these things, because they might see a Dalmatian G3 or something get sold for a really high price, and then they go, "Oh, look, I've got this beautiful white eMac thingy, compact Mac thingy. Look at this," and they put it up on eBay for like $500 or something, and everyone just laughs at them. And I do. Some people are quite polite about it, just saying, look, buddy, listen, this isn't what that's worth. Because, how would they know if they didn't know? They'd look at it and go, oh, look, it's a compact Mac. They're selling for a fortune.
Yeah.
Whenever I get an eMac, whoever visits me first gets it. And I think the last eMac I gave to Dana or you, Rudy, I don't remember. But it's like,
you gave it to Dana, but it was meant for me.
Grudy's.
Yeah, well, you didn't come and get it, so it's like, oh, you want an eMac? No, well, it's yours. Here you go. Just stuff
At the time, you didn't tell me it was his.
I forgot. See, if you wait 4 years before you pick something up, I kind of forget whose it is.
Oh, that sucks. That's the worst thing. These places that just palleting it up, going to e-waste, just
It's like, what do you care?
tossing everything away. I can't tell you how blue in the face I've gotten to some people where it comes up in conversations. Oh yeah, my school had a boatload of those. We threw them away, and I'm like, why do you tell me after the fact?
Why do you feel the need to share that?
Yeah.
Like people sending me photos of homeless animals. Like, yeah, this one's just out in the lake somewhere. It's like, now I need to go get it.
Make it worse.
Oh, here you go. Apple's Anonymous says, "I'll fly you to where you can get an eMac." Just prepare to pay the luggage fees and trying to get it home.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Anonymous.
I mean, I must confess, I have one, but that was because it was part of a deal where you have to take everything.
So you paid for it either way.
Well, no, I got it for free. But
I'm saying you paid for it your backaches and your storage.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it has the swivel stand, so that's kind of good. I like
the swivel stand's worth more than the damn machine.
They are.
The one that Jay gave me, I brought home, and I was like, "What am I going to do with this thing?" I turned it on, and it's got a beautiful picture. It works well and everything.
The screens are great.
Lovely screen.
And,
they're great.
And I thought, and then I saw, I think Gritty did a video about the swivel stand. And I was like, I'll just go on eBay and see, what people are asking for those. And I got one for $15, brand new.
Oh, yeah.
And
excellent.
it was
I
very nice.
I helped set up my classroom of eMacs in high school, and putting all the swivel stands on. And we had boxes of the stands.
Cool.
At the end of the year, I had artwork projects to take home. So what did I take them home in? The swivel boxes. So I have more swivel boxes than I do eMacs.
Speaking of eMac, I am. There was one set of hardware that was OS 9 compatible, even though it wasn't. That you can get to run OS 9. Colin and I have been wanting to, but haven't yet because it's sitting in my basement, and I'm not going to ship it to him.
Oh, come on.
Build the world's fastest eMac that's OS 9 compatible.
One of the, I think essentially if you have an unlimited space for your storage, then eMacs, sure, grab them, have them set up. You can play games on them. You can use them. A lovely, crisp screen. But if you're someone who's having to store your collection, they're a nightmare.
They're a great system. They just have really bad cat plague problems especially on the early ones. Yeah.
All right. What have you got for us, Steve?
Well, so I was 1 second. I'll share it in a moment. 1 moment, please. I was about to look at this deal. Hold on 1 moment. And then I realized something a bit off about it. And the problem is, with these types of things, you go ahead and you try and say, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and purchase that. And then you realize the shipping is double the price of the actual.
Oh my lord!
Goodness me!
So I thought, a swivel stand, that's not bad. $30, I could use an extra one. And then the shipping is $46.
Is that something they just put that in to cover shipping to just about anywhere, or is that something that actually figures out based on your zip code?
No, it's based on the zip code. I just edited the CSS to hide my zip code from there. But I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, to actually box it up and ship it would be under that.
Way under.
That's Steve's rant for the evening.
Fair enough. Well, we've gone over time, so I think we just have time for some very, very quick, very, very quick self-promotion. So, what's everyone got coming up?
Well,
Go, Jay.
I have
with Jay. Top left.
Well, at 10 p.m. tonight, I am watching a video premiere of that dude over there. And after that, if it's not too late and if I'm not too into watching TV on the couch, I might do a test stream where I'm just playing with OBS, trying to get my upscaled VGA signal downscaled back to 4:2 ratio. See if that works.
4 by
There's
3.
lots of Baileys.
Lots of Baileys.
I'll watch.
Mhm.
Yep, I'll watch. I've got the afternoon off, so
Yay!
Cool. So yeah, I will be premiering my latest video over at Ken's with behind the scenes access and all that neat stuff.
car crashes, all sorts of things.
Ooh, car crashes and all that. The
Poop
literally
flying
the
everywhere.
exactly 9 minutes of the video of me just trying to get there and not dying in the process.
Well, don't
And,
ruin it. Obviously,
yeah.
you're still alive. I mean, come on.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
leave the
but
audience wanting.
I came
And
close
just-
to dying.
Now we know we
Just
don't
remember,
have to start
folks,
watching until
Yeah.
10 minutes in.
Just remember, folks, you can't fast forward premieres. Okay, so just
Yes.
letting everyone know that.
Exactly.
Just
So
shoot
you'll
for
have to
9
suffer
minutes
through the
past
first
10,
9
and you'll be
minutes.
all
You
right.
can wait to start watching about 10 minutes.
So,
Oh dear.
and
okay,
Ken
so
will
that's
be in the
premiere.
chat
Yep.
too.
Excellent, excellent, cool.
I'm going to spam him with messages asking him to talk about Windows 7.
Oh, he loves that. I think made the mistake of reading a live chat thing, one of the live sessions that we had together, and I just got the death glare from him, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know who your pests are. I'm just going to read the question.
Oh dear. What about you, Dana? You got anything coming up interesting in the future?
Mm-mm.
He's going to spam the premiere from Grudy. That's what he's doing.
At least he's
Pretty
honest.
much.
Okay. What about you, Steve?
I have a video that I guess I'll put it out tomorrow morning. Last time I exported it, got all pixelated, so I had to use another machine just to render it and send that out. But it's about me just sitting down and looking at my old Nintendo Game Boy and some of the issues that are related to the batteries that hold the time on the little games that have a real-time clock system in there.
Mm.
And I thought, it'd just be a quick video just replacing this or restoring this or whatever. And it turned out there were more problems. So it got exciting. So that's on Patreon.
8 hours later.
8 hours later. So that's on Patreon, and you'll see an unscrewed up version of the non-pixelated mess, hopefully, sometime
Cool.
in the next 12 hours.
Excellent. Good stuff. Welcome, Dave. Dave's just arrived in the chat, so we've now
Oh,
got
thank goodness.
the green light to finish. So I am just way behind in content. I've got to do some content, but I've just been my day job has been obscenely busy, so I haven't been getting to recapping and all that sort of stuff. So I will try and do something. I may stream tomorrow. I may not. We'll see. But I will be trying to. So.
Let's quickly recap the conversations we've had with Bruce over the last week. Hey, Bruce, we're streaming. Why aren't you here? Oh, I'm busy working, mate. I'm busy working, 100%. He's not working. He's
100%,
never
right?
working, because whenever some of us stream, he's there in the chat.
Well, it's one of the good things about the live streaming is that I can work depending on the work I'm doing. If I'm coding, I shut everything off. But if I am doing a bit of HTML stuff or accounts or something like that, I can have a live stream in the back, and that's all fine. But it is one of the things that these guys do tend to forget when they're asking me to join the live stream. Is they've had their dinner, they're sitting down, they're relaxing.
No, we don't forget that at all.
We don't
just
forget
wanna-
at all. We just know that when you say you're working, or it's like, oh, are you streaming today then? No, I'm way behind on work because I haven't done anything the last 4 days. So,
And
But
then
guess
Jay
what? I
will
got the
say,
work done yesterday. So I've actually got a bit of time now.
Nice.
Steve, we cannot hear you.
Steve, you're muted.
What you guys are complaining about, because I did an 8-hour stream and Bruce was there for the entire 8 hours.
It was. That was. I think that was a day where I was working on something that it was just repetitious. So I was able to sit. I left and went and got lunch, and I went to the post office, and I left, and came back.
You were
about
so
3 or 4
productive.
times. And every time I'd come back, sit in front of the computer, he's still going.
So basically, we have Steve to thank for you having the day off today.
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
Sure.
When's my check coming in the mail?
Oh dear. Okay. All right. So now we've got to move on to the. So we have.
All right.
We have a Discord. And we invite you all to join it. It's a good, fun sort of place with lots of cool people and friendly chit chat and all that sort of stuff. So please jump on and join if you haven't already. We try and get on there as much as we can, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hang on. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Smash that like button.
Anyone tired of that yet?
No. Same as this one. It doesn't get old.
So subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please like the video. We do appreciate it. And we will, I think, be back to normal time next week, I suspect.
Correct.
And that will, I think next week's episode will mark 2 years since I joined the show. So
Bruce will be doing everything.
Absolutely, yeah,
Awesome.
That's right. So thank you, everyone. I am going to just find this thing so I can click on the thing so that we can do the thing here. There we go. And so, thanks for watching. See you all later. See you at the next show. Bye, all.
Bye.
Right.